Hey guys, I'm gonna make a little tutorial video, tips and tricks on polishing aluminum. Now, as you can see, this piece here is pretty dull. I mean, it looks shiny, but this is pretty dull. Let me see if I could get this to actually focus. There we go. So you can see that's kind of dull. Now, I'm going to show you guys how you can get from that dull to this shine right here. You kind of focus in on this. This is the camera doesn't really like to focus in the shiny things because of the light reflection and whatnot. And another example of something that is polished is, I told you guys I was going to kind of redo this little shorty here, well, polish the side. I mean, you can see my hand and the camera reflection. I painted the end cap. The end cap was all beat to shit, but whatever. So here's how you polish stuff here. Now there's a couple ways you could do it. And there's a couple different polishes you can use. So you can do it by hand with a rag and rub it in. But let me start off by saying this is aluminum here, and this is also aluminum. But as you can see, there's a giant texture difference. This piece of aluminum here is all rough, and there's lines in it. And this piece here is smooth. So if you're going to be polishing a piece like this where it's all rough, you're going to want to start by sanding it down. Start with, maybe like a 200 grit, then sand it to with like 500, 600, keep going and going until it gets as smooth as this. And then you're going to want to polish first with a polishing rouge and a buffing wheel. A polishing rouge looks like this. It's a paste kind of that's it's in a stick, and you want to use the red kind, which is what I have here, and that's what you would use to get it going. And then you could touch it up with the other polish I'm going to talk about next. But if it's already smooth like this, and it's already, like I said, it's smooth, then you can go right over to, where am I? Polish. So this is Mother's Magnet aluminum polish. You can also get, an all-metal polish, but this stuff uses less effort. Like, if you're doing this by hand, this is the quickest polish to use. They sell polishes that have thicker, kind of like a grit to them, and that's what you want to use for starting off on rough surfaces like that. That's kind of what the polishing rouge does. But so here is the polish, and all you do really is you just kind of, I'll show you. You can rub it on, and then you can buff it with this, or you can get one of these little buffing wheel attachments for your drill, and just put a little polish on that wheel, and get the drill cranking, and polish away. But I will show you the good old hand method on how to do this. So hopefully that's kind of focused all right. And so you're gonna open up the polish here. You can see it's a paste. And here's my brake pedal. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab a little bit on my finger, just a little bit, and I'm going to, hopefully you can see this, evenly coat this whole pedal with all of that polish. And then any of the excess left on my finger, I'm going to wipe on my rag, and I'm going to just use that to buff it in. So I'll start with a clean piece of rag so you can see what this does. So here's a clean part of the rag. Do you see how I just wiped it there? You kind of fold it up so you can hold it good, and then you just start buffing this in. Now you want to give it some pressure when you're doing this, so kind of push on it a little bit. You guys are going to have to deal with this camera angle for a minute, because I gotta push and buff this piece of aluminum here. You're gonna notice your cloth is gonna get black like that, and that's normal. Just keep buffing the whole thing, and you could do this for as long as you want. You could stop when it gets moderately shiny. You could keep going until it gets more than a mirror finish and it looks almost like chrome. I am not looking for a perfect shine, but I do like it to be shiny. So, and now you can see my rag is pretty black, so I'm going to go over to a clean piece, grab a little bit more polish, just a little bit, put it on the rag, and buff again. You don't want to just switch to a new piece of the rag and buff, because then you're going to have no polish left, and that's actually the last step. You are going to buff this without any polish, and that's going to leave you with a nice, smooth, shiny finish. But think of polish as a liquid sandpaper, and all the polish is doing is it's just scratching the surface and buffing it out, and it's making it even smoother. So every time you polish something, you're taking some of the metal away, because it's scratching that layer off and it's buffing the layer underneath it. So I'm almost done here. Now if I had the drill hooked up to this and I was going, I would be done by now, but I don't. So you can see this is looking a lot shinier, right? Well, it's going to get even more shinier. Here's another clean part of the rag again. Now I'm just going to buff this without any polish on it, and that's going to work all of that dirty black polish and aluminum grit out of the little micro scratches on this. And you want to kind of push really hard when you do this. I would say as hard as you can, and really buff it. You don't want to do it for too long, because then you're going to start to actually scratch the aluminum and it's going to lose its shine. You just want to do it, and you can see that rag's getting dirty. Switch to another clean part, buff it, and now for the final result. Do that in just, I don't know, 3-4 minutes time. You can see how shiny that is. That is pretty shiny. Of course I can't get it to focus because it doesn't know what it wants to do. Can't really focus into shiny stuff. But there you go. And just to give you an example of what this would look like on the bike, I have a couple examples that you can see here on this one. This one, I always touch this stuff up. When I touch these, the Kickstarter and the brake pedal up, when I touch them up, it only takes me 5 minutes, because these have already been polished. Once you polish something, it's real smooth, and it's really easy to rebuff again. You can see how shiny this is. This is shinier than the one that I just did, because this gets buffed a lot. So the more you buff it, the shinier it's going to get. It all depends on how much time you have and how shiny you want it. And one more example is on this motorcycle here, this Harley. You can see the clutch lever here, how shiny that is compared to this unbuffed one. You can't really tell. But all this is buffed. You can see that nice shine. That looks good. Here's another example. This is magnesium. Not as shiny, but it's also Kickstarter. Not as shiny as I would like it, but spend 10 more minutes buffing this and it's all set. Brake pedal here. And that's about it. So now, if we compare these next to each other, they're both really shiny. And that's going to look good on your bike. Also do the shift lever. And you can do whatever you want. I even did the sides of my frame over here. You can't really tell because this is steel. It doesn't polish as good. You can kind of tell. But it makes it look a little bit better. So hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions on what polish you should be using for what kind of aluminum, like if you want to polish this, you could polish this just the way I showed you, and it's gonna look something like this. Because I polished everything on this engine, just the slightest amount. You can't really tell, and that's what I was going for. I don't want this to be mirror finished, but you can see it's somewhat shiny. So that's just putting the same polish on a rag and buffing it by hand, and that's what that does. And you can do that to this too, but I prefer making smooth things just as shiny as chrome. So thanks for watching, and if you guys have any requests for any other videos or anything, let me know and maybe I can do something. So see you guys later.